Now we actually see Wasaru and Kuzan actually come up with a new plan, but a new general actually came in the name of Glachi Reus, and he actually not happy of how their plans are going so well. So Wasaru is actually left, but Kuo-san actually stayed behind just for Glacius actually told him that he got a plan to defeat the Rio soldiers once and for all, which we seen Cole, Melt, and Asuna actually heard about a Ryusoul tribe that actually lives under the sea, in which they actually heard the story when they were kids, but they never actually thought it would be real. So we can tell that we actually knew that Ryusoul Go is going to make his appearance, which Yumi actually heard this story as well. But then we actually seen someone actually near the bench, which we actually seen the guy by the name of Kanaru, who actually gave a a red rose to a young lady, but she actually rejected. But then a young girl named Akane actually shows up and actually accepted the rose, which Kanaru actually is happy. But then we actually seen the people are running from the Minosaur, which is actually called the Basilisk Minosaur, in which it actually looks like the modification of the previous monster. But then we actually seen Konaru to Akane to hide because he actually had pulled out his Mosa's changer, and then he actually going to morph into Ryusoul Gold for the first time, and we saw Ryusoul Gold debut, and then he using his Mosa changer to defeat the Basculus Minosaur, in which we seen the villains actually saw him, and that's when Glacius actually come up with a new plan, which he actually gonna need Kudasan for it, in which Yui actually showed the photo of Kanaru and him transforming and defeating the Minosaur. So they decided to find him, in which we seen Kanaru and Akane actually is talking, but then Akane's boyfriend Kasuma actually showed up, and he was not actually happy for Kanaru actually talking to Akane. But then, Kasuma actually collapsed, which we actually knew that he was actually infected by the Minosaur, which we seen Koen Asuna that he actually is the real soul member from the tribe of the sea. But he actually won't talk to them because he actually trying to go on his own mission. But then we actually seen Melt contacting the others about the Metasaur actually attacking, which he actually fighting the Kelpie Metasaur, which we actually seen Cole to Asuna and Bamba morph and actually helping Melt, at which he actually is overwhelmed by the Kelpie Metasaur, in which the Metasaur had let out a shockwave attack, which actually hurts their ears. And then Cole using his mirror armor to attack. But he using his water attack to deflect the fire, and then he actually took out the real soldiers with one hit. Now we actually do see Kuasan actually squeezing out the ooze from his fingers, which we knew that was actually Glashira's plan, which we actually knew what he was going to do with it. Meanwhile, the real soldiers are going to fight the Kelpie Meosaur, and they're gonna come up with a plan to stop him. But then we saw Kavina Kavino actually saw the real soldiers, and then we actually can tell that earlier we seen him talking with Akane, and then she actually found out that he was actually affected by the Capi Meosaur, in which Kanaru actually going to fight the Meosaur to get Kazuma well, which we actually seen them real soldiers are actually morphing and they actually fighting the Capimiosaur. But every real soul they use, they actually no match for this monster. And that is when Kanaru actually shows up. And then he actually had his Mosa changer, and then he actually morphed in front of the real soldiers. In which we actually seen him actually morph the same way as the real soldiers, and then we actually seen him fighting the Capi Ryusoul, and then the Drone soldiers showed up, which he actually had his Mosa blade, and then we seen him fighting the drone soldiers with them, at which we actually knew that he actually gonna go even high. Even stronger. So we actually used the Berry Real Soul, in which the difference between the Mirror Real Soul and the Berry Real Soul is that the Mirror is actually fire, but the Berry is actually lightning, which he actually used it to transform into his Berry armor, in which he actually using the lightning attack on the Druid soldiers, and then he combined the Mosa changer with the Mosa blade into the Mosa breaker, and then he actually finishing off the Cappy Real Soul with his final attack, in which we seen Kulazon actually passing out from squeezing the ooze from his fingers, and then he thinks about Tangjul. But then we saw Glacius and actually talking to the real soldiers that he'll actually come back one day with a new plan, in which Cole actually asked Kanaharu to join them on their fight, but he refused because he actually got his own quest that he needs to deal with. And we actually seen the first that he was actually going to deal with. Now I'm actually impressed that we actually saw Ryusoul Gold for the first time, and we saw Kanaru, the Ryusoul Gold, and which hopefully we get to see his sword, Mosa Rex, and also him joining the real soldiers. So I cannot wait to see what the real soldiers, including their new ally, Ryusoul Gold, into into next on the next episode next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment on what you think about the episode. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr, and follow and like my Facebook page. Until then, this is Anime Guy 300 here saying signing out. Laters.